Okay, so on the board we have 7 examples of questions. Each of them has our question word, maybe, wink wink, maybe an auxiliary verb and a main verb. So let's look at each of them. And so the first thing I want you to do while we read through these, the first thing I want you to do is circle, okay? You can either circle or you can mentally think that's the question phrase. And then I want you to underline the, you can underline the auxiliary verb, okay? And then you can also maybe underline the main verb as well, or circle the subject between the two. But the point here is I really want you to identify the parts of these questions and understand the pattern, the structure of our questions, okay? So let's look at them. And let's do the first one together. We can do the first one together, and then I'll read through the rest, and after I'll show you the answers. So here, the first example, when can I help you with your homework? When can I help you with your homework? So what's my question word here? What's my question word? The question word in particular, or the question phrase, is when. Okay, that's my question word. What is my auxiliary verb? Can you identify the auxiliary verb in this statement? So the auxiliary verb here is going to be can. Okay, now I have one other verb in that sentence. So my other verb in that sentence is actually an action. It's to do something, and that action here is help. Okay. So between those two, between the auxiliary verb and the action verb, I have my subject. So I have a subject here. Okay? So as I read the rest of these sentences, I want you to identify which is which. Okay? I want you to identify the auxiliary verb. I want you to identify the subject. I want you to identify the action verb or the main verb, and I want you to identify the actual question phrase, all right? So let's read through them. While I'm reading through, you can make a mental note of what we're talking about here. So, where will you go this weekend? Where will you go this weekend? Will you go to the movies? Will you go with friends to a park? Where will you go this weekend? What kind of ice cream do you like? Right? What flavor, maybe I might say, what flavor of ice cream do you like? Me personally, I like chocolate ice cream. That's my favorite. So what kind of ice cream do you like? Number 4 here, how old will you be in 2032 or 2032? How old will you be in how old will you be in 14 years? That's only 14 years from now. Wow. So how old will you be in 14 years? I will be very old, so that's too sad. Maybe even in a wheelchair or something. What is your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite scary movie, right? Your horror films out there. I don't really like to watch them, but I do have a few favorites. Notice here also, I'm using the British spelling, right? I included my U in favorite. So sometimes we include U's, sometimes I include U's, other people do not. Who cares what they do? So what is your favorite scary movie? Why do you listen to hip hop? Why do you listen to hip hop? Maybe you don't listen to hip hop. You can tell me why you don't. But what is my auxiliary verb? What is my question word? What is my verb here, right? So why do you listen to hip hop? And my last question on the board, let's identify the parts of this one. How far can you kick a football? Right? Can you kick it out of a stadium? Can you kick it over a building? I don't know how far you can kick a football. So, have you identified the parts of speech here? Have you identified the question word? Have you identified the auxiliary verbs and the subjects and the actual main verbs? let's see if you are thinking correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and mark all these. I'm going to stand out of the way and talk about them so we can see them. So on this first one here, it's where, right? Where is my question word. That's my full phrase. This next one, the question phrase is really big. What kind of ice cream? Specifically, I want to know maybe the flavor of it. So that whole piece there, what kind of, what type of, is my question. How old here? How old is my question? What is my question? Why, and how far. So these are my question words. The next thing that you should be looking at here is where your auxiliary verb is. So you're going to see a pattern here. You're going to see obviously that with these, you're going to see that the auxiliary verb, it comes, if it's in the sentence, it's going to be right after that. So in each case, will here, we got a do here. Is, what is your favorite scary movie? There's no auxiliary verb in this one. There's only one verb, but that's the main verb. That's all there is there. Here we've got another do, and here we have a can. So we have our helping verbs throughout, either a modal verb in some cases, or just a plain old auxiliary verb. Next, we're going to be looking at our subjects. So in each of these, I think you see the subject. It's pretty much the same. The first one was different, okay? But here we have you. And it's the same all the rest of the way. You, and you. I should have been more creative. Oh, it's too easy. Why did I make it so easy for you? But maybe the main verbs will trick you, maybe not. They shouldn't trick you. They're pretty easy to see verbs. So our verbs, of course, our verbs go after our subjects here. The verb needs to be after the subject. So we've got go, like, be, in this case, that's my main verb. It's a stative verb, to be old. This one, remember, we said there was no other action verb. This is my only verb right here. So there we are. Listen, in this case, listening is our main verb, and kick in this sentence. So look at the pattern there. Look at the pattern. Red, purple, blue, green. Red, purple, blue, green. Red, purple, blue, green. I think that we can say that there's an obvious pattern in English questions that you need to remember. So please pay attention to this structure when you're asking questions. All right, let's look at how we might answer some of these questions. So let me put some answers on the board. Oh my, I can't believe I went through that whole lecture and we didn't even have our right pronoun, our possessive pronoun was off here. If you noticed that while I was teaching and you were like, oh, he made a mistake, let me know. Like, put it in the comments, make fun of me. I like it when I get trolled a little bit, so go ahead and make some jokes about that. I put up some of our answers over here, kind of playing with the ideas of how to answer, and I also made these different colors so that you can see when we include particular parts of speech and how we use things and how we don't use things. So over here, right, we've got our verbs. Let me move out of the way. I'll move in the middle right here if I possibly can, try to get a little bit out of the way. So immediately, that's just the best answer I could give there. When can you help me with my homework? Oh, immediately, of course, right? I've got all the free time in the world. So let's look at some more examples. Where will you go this weekend? Where will you go this weekend? I will go to Chicago. Notice how we have our subject that changes. You changes to I because that's the subject changing, okay? But then we have our modal verb here. We're still going to use our modal verb again. And we want to use the same modal verb, perhaps, unless it's planned. And we'll talk about that later on, how we change some things. But still, usually we're going to use some sort of future form again. Our verb is going to be the same, go. It's easy enough to use that. And then I'm using in red the information I wanted to know. Over here, where, right? We're asking where over here. That's the specific information I want to know. So in red over here, I have the place that you want to know about. Where are you going? I'm going to Chicago. There it is. What flavor of ice cream do you like? And over here, my main verb is like. Notice that I don't use my auxiliary verb. I don't say I do like. We don't need that extra auxiliary verb there. If it were a negative, right? If I were using a negative, I don't like ice cream, that's fine too. But in this case, we don't need our auxiliary verb. We just use our main verb, I like, okay? I like French vanilla here, which is true as well. Chocolate and French vanilla are great. There's so many flavors of ice cream I love. Next, I will. Will is in purple here. We got our modal verb again that we're gonna repeat. So how old will you be? Well, we have to use that modal. We'll move it over. I will be. Be is my main verb here. I will be 104 years old, right? I don't look it at all. Not a year over 103. What is your favorite scary movie? So in this case, I have a very big subject. My favorite scary movie. My favorite scary movie, right? If I were to condense it, I could just say it. It's, right? It is or it. And that would condense my subject. But I wanted to make my subject big here. My favorite scary movie is Event Horizon. If you haven't seen Event Horizon and you like scary movies, go ahead. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. If you don't like scary movies, don't watch it, all right? The next, why do you listen to hip hop? Well, I listen to, notice again, do, we drop do. We don't need do in this statement, so we just say I listen to. I listen to it for the lyrics, that's why. And the last one here, I can kick. Again, we have our modal over here, can, and we want to repeat that modal again, so we move it over here and we say I can. I can kick a football 3 kilometers. And if you can kick a football 3 kilometers, I don't know why you're watching this video. Go play football professionally, okay? Okay, so just remember that we have a particular pattern in our questions, and we sometimes change how we answer those questions. We either keep our verbs or we drop our verbs. Often we drop our do because we just don't need an extra do in there. And our order changes, right? Our order changes. Over here, my auxiliary verbs, right? My auxiliary verbs go before my subjects. Whereas over here, my subject goes before my auxiliary and my other verb. So we have to change our pattern a little bit when we're making questions and answers. So if you have questions, please stop by our Facebook page, join our classroom there, and ask your questions. You can either ask other students or you can ask me questions there, and you can get some great practice making questions. If you haven't done this already, it would be a great chance for you to start. Please like and subscribe to my videos so I can continue making them. And also, please join us for the rest of the modules for beginner English. I hope to see you around. I hope to see you asking some questions, all right? So I'll see you next week. Bye.